Shalom. First and foremost, above all things, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's definitely due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kradash, from out of the Great Millstone Camp, Waco, Texas. I'm your brother Atiat. I'd like to give a special double honors to the elders and apostles on down at Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. May the blessing of election be upon your household, on you sincere brothers and you few sisters out there that listen and take heed. And lesson for today, we must be on fire to preach this ministry. And Lord willing, I hope and pray that this will be an edifying lesson. So we can't emphasize this enough, that we have to be on fire and constantly and consistently preach the word. Whether we're on the highways, the hedges, or doing videos, we got to stay consistent, Yahushai was daily in the temple preaching, and once Yahushai went back into the heavens, the disciples who became his disciples who became apostles, they were daily doing it. So they did the work, and in the times that we're living in now, our elder apostles, they're a great example of doing the work. They're out there on the highways and the hedges every Saturday. The brothers do videos all through the week, So we got to be in that same mindset. At the end of the day, every brother's load is different. But hey, if you can do more, man. Because at the end of the day, we can never do enough for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. I mean, he woke us up, gave us this truth and knowledge. So the least we can do as servants of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is to be as active and be as consistent in this truth and knowledge and preach it, It's like Elder Apostle Tahar said, you can't get this truth and knowledge and go put it in, go put it in your go put it in your back, write it down on a napkin and, put it in your back pocket. You can't do that, man. You just can't go and sit on your back porch with this knowledge and not preach and teach it, man, So without further ado, I'm going to go into some scriptures, and Lord willing, I hope and pray that this will be edifying. Now, the first one I want to go to is, what is it? John chapter 21 and verse 17. He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Yahushua saith unto him, feed my sheep. And that's the same spirit we got to be in. We have to feed the sheep, because that's our job, Just like Peter had to do it, we're in that. We got to stay in that mindset, man. And Yahushua was a great example of that, because he did. And the proof of that is in Mark chapter 14 and verse 49. Mark chapter 14, verse 49. I was daily with you in the temple, teaching, and ye took me not. But the scriptures must be fulfilled. Yeah. So this was Yahweh Shai himself, the greatest man that ever lived on the earth. He was in the temple daily teaching, you know. So Yahweh Shai was a great example of how we should be. And his works also inspired his disciples who became apostles. Here's the proof of that. It's in Acts chapter 5 and verse 42. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach and preach Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Yeah. Yeah, so the apostles were in the same mindset of Yahweh Shai, and they were daily in the temple and in every house, and they did not cease to teach or preach this word of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, And being that we're in the latter days that we're in and things are getting increasingly worse, you want to put your best foot forward, man, because at the end of the day, you want salvation. And, part of you showing that you want that salvation is to be consistent in this teaching and preaching of this word, man. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. Preach the word. Be instant, in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Yeah. So we have to be instant, in season, and out of season. That means even through good weather and even through bad weather, Now, there may be times when, certain times when it's real cold, like bone-chilling cold. Well, that's not you want to be wise. And the wise thing to do, if you can, is to, brothers get together and do a sit-down. Go in, inside sit-down. You can do that, I know the other day, me and my camp leader, it got to raining. We started out outside, and it got to raining real bad to where we finished up the camp in the car. So, it is what it is, man. Through the good weather, through the bad weather, you gotta keep on, you gotta be consistent, man. I mean, unless you, unless something really, really bad is wrong with you, brothers may have to deal with ailments and things like that. But at the end of the day, man, if you can get out there and go preach the word, man, do it, man. The Lord didn't give us this truth and knowledge for us to just sit on. He gave it to us, and the thing about it, he didn't give it to anybody. He gave it to you, so the least you can do, because not every Tom and Dick and Harry of Israel that's an Israelite has this knowledge, but you do. So it's your job as a prophet to be going out there teaching. And if you're not on a consistent basis doing this work, then you're not a prophet, man. Luke chapter 14 in verse 23. And the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and the hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. Yeah, so this is what Yahushua said. We're to go out on the highways and the hedges to do the work. You know, uh, that's our job. That's our duty, man. And there's a great reward for that. But if you're just kind of like getting by, or you just, what I'm saying, the Spirit knows. The Lord knows everything that we're doing. So if you're not putting your best foot forward, how can you expect when things get rough out here, how can you expect Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to put his best foot forward for you? Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, which means he is or he exists. And then you have the Son's name, which is Yahushua, which means he that delivers. So how can you expect, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to deliver you and you've been half-assed in the ministry, bro? So it's really something to think about. And, all the more reason to be on fire for this truth and knowledge, man. Jeremiah, we got to be in the spirit of Jeremiah. Let me see if I can get that right quick. I think it's... I hadn't pulled it up in a while, so forgive me if I get it. There it is. So there it is, the water, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Call the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 9. Yeah, see, this is Jeremiah, and he was heavily being persecuted, preaching. And it got to the point to where he felt like this in Jeremiah chapter 20, but, it burned in him to keep preaching the word. It was in him. And that's the way we got to be. Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 9. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name, but his word in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. Yeah, so, the word was burning. It was like a burning fire in Jeremiah that he had to, preach it. And we got to be in that same spirit as well, man. You can't sit there and, have all this knowledge, man, this vast knowledge, and just, just, not take it seriously enough to be consistent in the preaching work, man. So at the end of the day, we're messengers for Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So it's important for us to stay consistent in season and out of season, and as the scriptures say, do the work as an evangelizer. So Lord willing, I hope and pray that this is an edifying lesson. Once again, I want to give all praises and honor and glory that's definitely due to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahushua B'Hashem, Rakak Radash. Special double honors to the elders and apostles on down. Peace and salutations to the elect. Until the next time, Lord willing, I'll say shalom.